Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Financial QB TV, where we provide sleep well at night solutions for those individuals that are retired or almost retired. Hey, what I want to talk to you today is about 3 common and very simple and basic mistakes that are done every day that jeopardize people's retirement. And actually, these 3 are part of my report, the report that's available on my web, which is 10 mistakes that jeopardize your retirement. And again, that's available at www.thefinancialqb.com. Okay. Now, unfortunately, these mistakes are not just ones that I read in a blog or I read in Smart Money magazine. These are everyday mistakes that people make, that I meet with people and try to go over with people. And these are deep in the trenches mistakes that I've encountered and that I have experienced in my long career in this great business. Okay? So mistake number 1 that I want to share with you is planning your retirement when you're already retired, or really when you're not even ready to retire. Okay? Now this mistake is one that I see over and over again, especially now as people are getting laid off and as companies have packages to lure their employees into retirement, of course, to cut payroll. Okay, this is something that happens again, or again, people reach that magic age or 65 or whatever the case is that a person retires. Okay, and what happens is that they retire, they take the package, and then they come in here and ask me all the great and basic questions that everybody asks. Hey, are my investments good? Am I taking out the right amount of money? How long is my money going to last? And on and on and on. Of course, these are all great questions, but here is the big mistake. They have already made their decisions. They have already selected their options. They have already made their pension, selected their pension options, and so on and so forth. Okay, and the problem is that they have made all their choices, and all they want us to do is wrap my arm around them and tell them that everything is okay. Well, here's the sad news. Many times things are not okay because they let the horse out of the barn. Okay, if I'm making sense to you, is that let's try not to wait until we reach a specific age to plan for that specific age, because it doesn't work. And the other thing to understand is, in addition, one really big concern that I have is when people are not really ready to retire. One of the main questions that I ask when people are getting ready to retire is, what are you going to do next? And that's usually my first question before I even ask, how much money do you have? Okay? And it's a more important question, because what people have to understand about retirement, that now, don't get me wrong, it's a great stage of life if you plan it the right way. But if you plan it the wrong way, it's a very lonely and often very boring stage of life. And what I found is that, we go from a very active a lifestyle, especially now, from answering emails to going to business lunches, conferences, and so on. You go from that lifestyle to absolutely doing nothing. And that can be a definite shift in people. So what I tell people is, hey, you need to have plan B of what are you going to do next. And what I often see is that those that don't have a plan B, even though we work hard with them to make that plan B, is that between 26 to 36 months is that a feeling of depression and low self-worth sets in. Okay? Now, mistake number 2 is the following, which is a huge mistake, but I see people constantly do it. And you know what? I see financial advisors constantly doing it to their clients. And that is, huge mistake is drawing your retirement income out of the stock market. And I will show you here with this picture, okay? This is one of the worst things that you can do. And again, I see financial advisors and other people doing this all the time. If you're drawing income out of the stock market, okay, what happens is that it really hurts when you have a market decline. And folks, we know what a market decline looks like, okay? But what happens is when you're taking income out of the stock market and your portfolio is going down, you actually have to sell more shares out of that portfolio in order for you to generate the same amount of income so that you can have your standard of living. And what happens is that the problem is that as your portfolio recovers, there's less shares in that portfolio in order for your balance to recover back to where you can take the same amount of income. Okay, so this always causes a problem. Now, I'm sure many of you know from the term that's called dollar cost averaging. Well, in this particular case, this is called dollar cost ravaging, okay, because it often ravages your portfolio, and it's very destructive, especially during down periods in the market. There are so many better ways to plan to generate income from your portfolio and at the same time have the potential for long-term growth. Okay? And the third one I want to share with you is the following: not planning for longer lives and inflation. Let's face it, folks, we hear it time and time again, we're living longer. We might not want to live longer, we might not feel that we want to live longer, but at the end of the day, we are living longer. And there's nothing wrong with living longer as long as your finances are able to keep up with you living longer, as long as you set up yourself financially to live longer. And knowing what we know, the statistics tells us all the time that a couple over the age of 65, there's a 50% chance that one person in that couple will live into their 90s, into their mid to late 90s. Okay? So we have to prepare ourselves and ask the question of, hey, is our retirement plan and our portfolio able to keep up with longevity? And in dealing with longevity, the other topic is inflation. Inflation eats away at the value of your money every single year, okay? It means that it will cost you more to buy the same amount of stuff every year, okay? So if you ignore inflation each year, you will suffer a decline in your standard of living. This is guaranteed, okay? So folks, I've shared with you 3. The other 7 are located in my free report. Make sure you get it, okay? And I'm here again to answer any questions you might have. Thanks for tuning in to Financial QB TV.